Morning, students. Welcome. This is Mr. Charles, and I'll accompany you through this checkpoint online session number 3, part 2. Please go to your workbook, pages 25 to 30, Unit 4 questions. Question 1. Explain in your own words what is verbally ironic about this mini saga below. They claimed it was the latest, the newest version out, very modern. They said it was the best that money could buy. They said it was foolproof, waterproof, shockproof, childproof, absolutely indestructible. They told us it was a completely reliable, but we had to take it back. It didn't work. This is an opinionated answer, so more or less if our answers are the same, you're good to go. This advertisement makes great claims for the product. The use of superlative language, latest, newest, and best. Although the product described as proof against anything, they say it is foolproof. So it is very much fortified against usage with bad hands or of bad people, irresponsible people. Waterproof, it could survive water. Shockproof, childproof, indestructible. All these strong adjectives and proof adjectives, it doesn't actually work at the end, making it completely useless. This is how verbally ironic is. It is the difference between what is said and what is meant, or the outcome. Question 2. Here is an example of situational irony. Can you think of a similar one? Remember that situational irony is that when actions have the opposite effect of what are intended for them, or what is intended for them. A man and a woman who are very much in love but very poor want to give each other a gift. She is very proud of her long, beautiful hair. He is equally proud of his pocket watch. She cuts her hair and sells it to get the money to buy him a chain for his watch. At the same time, he sells the watch to buy her pretty combs for her to wear in her hair. Since the question says think of a similar one, this is also opinionated, but make sure your answer is correct regarding the situational irony definition that you have. An academic situational irony, or one that is found in novels, is that in many novels someone arrives just a little too late to tell someone something which had or which would change their life. And this exists in a Romeo and Juliet play that is in Unit 4 in your course book, when Romeo does not receive the message from the friar telling him that Juliet is not really dead. So Juliet swallows kind of poison that makes her go unconscious for 3 days, so she doesn't have to marry the person her parents are forcing her to. And when Romeo knows about this, he thinks that she's dead. He doesn't know that it's temporary. So he kills himself, and then Juliet wakes up, sees Romeo dead, and kills herself as well. This could be, some critics argue that this could be a kind of dramatic irony when the audience know something that the character on stage does not, because the audience witnessed the friar giving Juliet fake poison or a temporary poison, but Romeo did not witness that. And this is an example of dramatic irony because the effect wanted was that they get married, and the opposite happens, they die. So this is an example of both dramatic irony and situational irony. Question 3. Look at this picture. A. Explain what is being satirized in this political cartoon. B. Give the picture a caption to show what the mouse is thinking as the cat is taking its cheese. So, analyzing the picture, first of all, the cat looks relatively big in comparison to the mouse, and he's wearing a fancy suit and a tie. So, he is of importance, of big shot. He has three big pieces of cheese on his plate in front of him, while the mouse has crumbs of cheese, very small amounts of cheese. Nonetheless, the cat is not satisfied. It wants the mouse's cheese as well. Take into consideration that cats don't eat cheese. So even though the cat has big amounts of something that it does not need, it still wants the needs of the mouse, the food that the mouse actually needs, desires. The satire here is that the cat represents a rich person, not only able to have huge amounts of whatever he wants, but the power to deny the poor mouse even a tiny portion. The caption I chose is that the more you have, the more you want. You could go with corrupt people with power, for example, make others miserable. You could go with its greed is never fulfilled. Go with any caption you think is relevant to the feelings of the mouse. Question 4. Read the passage below and add 3 extra sentences or short paragraphs satirizing parents. Kind parents. My parents have always been a great help for me. They know I have poor eyesight, so they are always pointing out things to me. They tell me that the trash needs to be taken out, that my bedroom floor is covered with clothes, and that the garden needs watering. I would have never noticed these things if it hadn't such kind parents. One thing they have really taught me well is to tell the time. My mom shouts, "It's 8 o'clock," to me every morning. Sometimes I get little tests as an extra help. They ask me, "What time do you call this?" when I come home in the evening. And how long do I have to wait when I'm supposed to be ready for school? My dad is very anxious that I shouldn't get overweight, so he sends me on errands all the time. An errand is a short journey that someone sends you on their behalf. He also kindly makes sure I understand what he says, because he says everything over and over again. Have you noticed the satire of parents so far? Opinionated as well, for you to come up with examples of your own. The examples that I have written is 1. My parents put a lot of effort into helping me train my memory. Okay, so far so good. They say, for instance, "Don't think I've forgotten when you broke the window with your ball, so I shouldn't forget things either." So they're trying to help him train his memory in his belief from his point of view by reminding him that he did something bad. This is satirical of how much they remind him the bad actions he's done or he's done. 2. My parents want me to learn how not to waste money. So they tell me they are not going to buy me a new pair of trainers just because my friend has got some. And they spend the money on something useful instead, like a bigger TV, the same as they have next door. So basically, the satire here is that they told him, just because you saw someone having something nice, you don't have to have it as well. But they do the same thing. They see their neighbors having a bigger TV, so they spare the money of trainers that the boy might actually need to walk on to use, and they get a new TV, a bigger TV. This is not a necessity as the trainers are, but satire again, criticizing the parents. C. Sometimes when there is a visitor to the house, my parents send me to my room to do my homework. This is kind of them because it means I get more homework done and I don't have to be bored but what the visitor is saying. Also satire that the parents don't want him around some guests and they claim that it's for his homework, not for his being there. For different reasons. It could be that he's a bit clumsy. He is not suitable for the conversation. Um, it's someone they don't want him to see. Any reason, but they don't explicitly express it. They just tell him, go do your homework more. Satirical. Question 5. Read the following propaganda text. Entitled Call to Arms, Call to the Battle, Call to the Army. Citizens and comrades, your country needs you. Never in all of history has our sublime nation been the victim of such a cowardly, beast-style outrage as the one perpetrated against us yesterday, when dozens of innocent civilians, mostly women and children, were forced to take shelter while going about their daily lives in the marketplace. The vermin from our evil neighbor, Abanthia, have defiled the name of humanity by their despicable action of threatening to detonate a bomb in a crowded area. They tried in vain to trick us into retaliating by sinking to this despicably low level of behavior. But we will not. We will fight and destroy them, as we have always destroyed our enemies, by facing them in a battle, fighting like heroes, and wiping out those who are not worthy of that name, or even of being called human. It is because of what our great nation stands for, what has made it glorious throughout the ages, what it will become when the new dawn arises, that we will never stoop to employ the underhand and cowardly tactics of our cheating opponents. We fight with honor for what is right, for the truth, and for the motherland. We fight with dedication, passion, courage. We shall prevail against the treachery of our neighbors and the name of illustrious country will stand even more proudly yet in the history of this continent. Share in the magnificence of the victory. Comrades, to arms. The words that are in bold and rosette is question B from this question 5. Is that you have to point out to the details, words or phrases used as propaganda to play on sentiments. Comrades, to call people that are brothers of arms. Comrade is the person next to you in the army when you consider someone who has got your back, someone who fights for the same cause as you, someone who carries a weapon and fights the same enemy as you. So playing on this militant sentiment for citizens, comrades, propaganda. Country needs you. The country is symbolized into a person here, and this person needs you actually. This plays on your sentiment as well. Never in all of history that this has happened. This is an over-exaggeration that plays on the sentiments as well. That serves for propaganda. This is highly unlikely, if not impossible, that all history is recorded and all threats to the nation have been recorded, and this is actually the strongest or the most outrageous one. Victim plays on the sentiments as well. Against us, they are counting themselves as one, as united. They are playing on your um, patriotism feeling. Dozens of innocent civilians, women and children. This is hypothetically kind of impossible for a market that only women and children exist there. So they say mostly women and children for you to believe that it is women and children, for women and children to strike you. Because if they say all women and children, you would recognize that to be a mistake, to be a lie. So they say innocent, civilians. They say comrades at the beginning to get you in the feeling of military, and then they say civilians. So you know they don't belong in this fuss. They shouldn't have been murdered. They shouldn't have been subject to this. And then innocent, the women, children, most vulnerable in society. Going about their daily lives, they were just practicing normal things. Also, to fortify, to strengthen your feeling of anger, that they were just practicing daily stuff. How could the enemy do this? Vermin, evil, despicable, all strong negative adjectives used for this army or for this enemy. They defiled the name of humanity. The word defile, to go against something, is a very strong word. And humanity, it's now something humane. Threatening, bomb in a crowded area, despicably low level, all words that play on your sentiments. We have always destroyed our enemy. The word destroy, you actually destroy an object, right? An enemy or a rival, you defeat it. You don't destroy it. You don't break it into pieces, right? So destroy here is used intentionally for you to think of an object shattering, to also strengthen the sentiments that you feel. Fighting like heroes, calling themselves heroes, or even being called human, the enemy. The enemy shouldn't even be called human. Our great, glorious, new dawn, proudly, honor, illustrious. These are all strong adjectives describing the nation. They are all serving the purpose of you taking more pride in relating to this country. Cowardly, treachery, and stoop to the enemy's level. This is all negative, strong adjectives, also to play on your sentiment. Victory, magnificence, motherland. Remember last lesson about the Nigerian national anthem? The use of motherland and fatherland also gives a figure that this is a family. The nation that I belong to, or the country I am in, is a family that has a mother or a father, and I am the child to serve this family. Also plays on your sentiment for propaganda. Main facts is question A for question 5, or number A. Main facts from the passage. From all of this passage, it was mostly a muscle show. But if we have any fact from this passage, is that there was a bomb threat in a marketplace yesterday. But even this is not certain. This is not given enough details and references for you to make sure that this has actually happened or has happened. And people in the scene took shelter, supposedly. B, as we said, the ones that we just did, are words and phrases that serve as propaganda. They are in dark red. Question 6. The following expressions are euphemism, which, if you remember, means tactful, more positive ways of saying something bad, negative, unpleasant. Give the true meaning of the following phrases. This is opinionated as well, but let's try to unify our answers as close as possible. When someone says friendly fire, this is euphemism for when a military attack happens by one's own side. So when you belong, let's say, to country A, and there's a war going on with country B, and you shoot a comrade, you fire, let's say, a missile, and it falls in country A, in your country. This is called friendly fire. Ethnic cleansing is a pleasant way of saying or of the action of wiping out an ethnic or religious group. Industrial action is a strike when people stop working because they demand something, workers. They demand of their bosses, let's say, raise in wages, less working hours, insurance, more of, let's say, fun times. It depends on the people, it depends on the company, on the level of working in the marketplace. Correctional facility. So from correct, correctional, it makes correct. Facility. This is euphemism for prison. They don't call prison prison, they call it correctional facility. This is basically seeing the other side of the coin, but still it's the same coin. Collateral damage is when, let's say, country A is in fight with country B, and some of country A's citizens were in country B, and they were around a very dangerous target. So country A targets this place in country B, and they destroy it. But along with it, some citizens from country A die. They call them collateral damage. They are civilian casualties. They are people who died there, but they are not the main focus. They are not the main importance. Being economical with truth, this is plain out telling lies. Tactical withdrawal. This happens when armies are forced to fall back, are forced to withdraw from an area, let's say to go to a more important area to save lives of its platoons, but they withdraw. They don't call this losing the area. They don't call this defeat. They go with euphemism. This is tactical withdrawal. When you call someone not the sharpest knife in the drawer, you're just plain calling him stupid. When you say this is not the latest model, you mean this is old fashioned. Because if it's not the latest, then it's old, right? But you don't say it's old, you just say it's not the latest fashion. He's vertically challenged. Short. When you say revolution, you are this is euphemism for uprising against the government. When you let an employee go, it's like opening the door and saying, go outside. This is euphemism for firing someone from their job. We have to let you go. That means we have to fire you. You're not working anymore with us. Freedom fighter, rebel. Fell off the back of the truck, was obtained legally. Supposedly, the history of this euphemism use is that when you order something back in the States, in the United States, it goes in a truck. And this truck is delivered to your house on which the object is and then handed to you. So when it falls back or from the back of the truck, it means that it is obtained legally. It is taken with the approval of authorities, the company, the people involved. It's not illegal to take that item. Nearly new, this is euphemism for this is a second-hand item or object. Question 7. Give euphemisms as single words or short phrases for the following words which may have or which have negative connotations. Now, the other way around. When someone's lazy, we don't call him lazy, we say he's just tired. When someone's being childish, we don't say he's childish, we say he's just naive. When someone dies, we don't say he's dead, we say he passed away. This is euphemism. He's gone to a better place, beautifying the truth. He's no longer with us. Just flip the coin into its nicer face. When someone's angry, we say he's just passionate about what he does. When someone's stupid, we say he's intellectually challenged. Remember the vertically challenged? He's just short. This is intellectually challenged, or he's slow. He takes things slow. When someone's weird or acting weird, we say he's just different. Difficult, we say challenging. This is the other way of saying difficult, that it's a challenge. It proposes a challenge. When something's disastrous, this is a strong negative adjective. We go with mild negative adjective, that is unfortunate. We decrease its negative effect. And that's what euphemism is all about. Question 8. News headline reports are an extreme form of summary and concise writing. Give headlines for reports on the following events. So basically we have events that we have to give a headline for. This is a summary of event. A. On a school skiing holiday, 3 students gone missing after deciding to leave the rest of the group to go off piste, and there is an avalanche. So the headline for this would be Missing School Ski Trip, Trio in Snowfall. Well, we don't really care for the headline about how many students there were. And the words school and students, they both belong to the same family, the school. We don't need to repeat students as well. We need to know how many of them, and it's indicated by the word trio. We need to know that they are missing. This is the most important thing. We need to know what were they doing. It was a ski trip, and it happened in snowfall. We could also omit the snowfall. This is redundant for ski because you cannot actually ski on rocky mountains, right? B. A mountaineer finally reaches the top of Everest on his 50th birthday after 18 previous attempts. How would you make this a headline? Birthday bid success on 19th try. The mountaineer is unnamed, is unknown, so nothing changed here. He reaches the top of a mountain, and on his 50th birthday after 18 tries. So this is his 19th on his birthday. 19th try. So this 19th try is given success by the birthday of the mountaineer. A fierce storm damages an Atlantic oil rig during the night, but no one on board is seriously hurt. The second part, no one on board is seriously hurt, this is the most important part for you to report in news or on a newspaper. We need to know that hurricane, because fierce storm in the Atlantic, hurricane, or in any water place, any sea or lake or an ocean like the Atlantic, this is a hurricane. So a hurricane hits an oil rig, now we know, but all spared. Nobody is dead. Nobody is injured or seriously hurt. Dangerous animals escape from a zoo after their cages were deliberately left open by a group of people campaigning for animal rights. So activists release predators from zoo. We need to know who did it in the headline. The activists. What did they do? They released. What did they release? Dangerous animals. So basically predators. Where were they? From zoo. People or group of people campaigning for animal rights, this is called activists. You see what we're doing so far? Make this as concise as possible while maintaining the important details from the news summary. The final one, the name of the winner of the national lottery last week is still a mystery, as the jackpot prize of 3 million has not yet been claimed. And the headline would read, Jackpot unclaimed by mystery lottery winner. You see the headline. We need to know that he's a mystery person. We don't know him yet. And he won the lottery, nothing else. And that it is the jackpot, the highest prize for the lottery, the highest win. And that it's unclaimed. Nobody came to take it yet. Question 9. Write a newspaper editorial about an event or situation which recently occurred in your locality. Summarize it to begin with, and then give your opinion in order to persuade the readers what they should think about this issue. The more you include subjective views, which are presented as objective facts, the more biased your editorial will be. I colored these phrases or sentences for you to see what will happen with the example that I wrote. Let's read together. A man was arrested on Sunday night, 29th of March for breaking the curfew the government has imposed. Allegedly, he got in his car to get medication. After he left the pharmacy, he went for a ride around Sami Abdurrahman Park, hence was arrested there. People are split over the correctness of this action. His family and friends are supporting his release because they claim he did nothing wrong. He was driven by the habit without thinking of the corona outbreak. Police has responded, rightfully, that these types of irresponsible actions affect the spread of the virus and holds back the effectiveness of the procedures the government is taking. From a collective point of view, this behavior should not be tolerated. Such roaming is the reason why disinfection through the curfew is not working properly, and people are still getting infected. Since the virus is airborne, it's transmitted through the air, the slightest contact could result in transmitting the virus. And if citizens want life to go back to normal, they have to abide by the rules of health experts and officials. The summary of the story, this is how an editorial works. Summarizing, then opinion, trying to persuade the readers. A man was arrested on Sunday 29th of March. The red part is a summary of the action. See that we mention specific details as much as possible, but we don't mention the name of the person, let's say, because we don't want to publicize this name. We mention the date, exact date. We could mention the hour if you know it, and we mention the place and what happened. All apart. By the way, this is a fake fake incident. We just made it up. This that didn't happen. Just so you know. But we made up a story with the details that we want. Imagine there's a newspaper, and imagine this action happened. And then we have to present two views. But remember that an editorial is like is a example of argumentative writing. So we need to present the opposite point first, briefly, and then the longer is the point that you support. People are split over this, so we just mentioned that we have two views. Family and friends makes sense, logical, to support his release. And we said, or we mentioned what they said. And then the police. And then in blue is your opinion. Look how long it is in comparison to the opposite point, to the counterpoint. The word rightfully here is you claiming that this is the right thing to do. You are not a police officer. You're not from the police force. You are not a health expert. You don't get to decide if this is right or wrong. You just observe it. For you to say and to announce it, remember that you're writing for a newspaper, to announce it that this is rightful, this is you being biased. This is subjective view. Preferably omit this word. Don't write rightfully. Just continue with your own point of view. For you to be more subjective, imagine, look at the blue part. For you to be more subjective is for you to say, for example, from a collective point of view, this horrible behavior. The word horrible, you've just made this more biased. Should not be tolerated whatsoever, or at all, or not in a million years. This is also adding bias. Such, let's say, irresponsible roaming. You just added bias as well. Try to avoid these to present your point as objective as possible. We're done for today. Thank you for listening. Stay safe and keep up the good work.